Hey, Erev Tov. Good evening, everyone. Gemara Masechah Berachot. We are speaking about the minimum requirement of how much of the Shema Yisrael you need to have full intent in order to fulfill the obligation. Now, everyone agrees you should have full intent. When we say full intent, not the intention of fulfilling a mitzvah, but the intention of understanding what you're even saying. Remember, the Shema Yisrael is something that you're supposed to say, but also it's it should be on your heart. What does it mean for the Shema to be on your heart? How are we understanding it? How do you put Shema on your heart? You put the Sidur there? How do you put Shema on your heart? Sorry? Okay. So then we're going to come up to that. But Shema being on your heart, we understand that to mean is that you understand the words. Really, the heart is really being used more of like the mind, right? It has to be on your mind. Shema is on your lips, but it also has to be in your mind, in your thoughts. When it says that, it should be in your heart, what it means is you have to understand what you're saying. So what we're seeing from here, this whole discussion is about Shema Yisrael. You are required to understand what you're saying. Is there a minimum amount that once you understand that part, you fulfill your obligation? So what we saw last week is not that yet. We're going to get up to that. We had a two-way machloket Tanaim, where Rabbi Eliezer, I believe, the first opinion says it's the first half of Shema until V'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anachim mitzavecha hayom al levavecha, these words, and that's it. Whereas Rabbi Akiva said, no, it's the entire first paragraph. Asher anachim mitzavecha hayom, everything that I'm commanding you today, which means the entire first paragraph. So Rabbi Akiva requires the whole first paragraph of Shema. And we have another Braita where one opinion says the first two paragraphs of Shema, you have to understand. And the other opinion says, no, just the first paragraph. So we really have four authors, but really three opinions. So it's like the first half of the paragraph of Shema, the first paragraph, the first two paragraphs. So now what we're going to get into tonight is a little bit of this discussion, and then we're going to get into the final opinion that says really just that first line. Okay? Everyone with me? And again, you want to understand all of Shema, but we're going to talk about the minimum amount. Let's go. Share screen. This is Gemara Mesechet Megillah. I'm going to pop down here. Gemara Mesechet Megillah. We're going to start with Tanya Idach Vehayu. So if it's on Yud Gimel Amud Bet, where's Tanya Idach Vehayu? Tanya Idach Vehayu is on the 13B 1. Right? Yes. 13b1. Tanya idach vehayu shelo yikra lemafriya. From the word that it says Shema vehayu, they shall be, you didn't need to use that word, and we already discussed it. This is the opinion of the Chachamim. The Shema Yisrael doesn't need to say the words of Shema vehayu, they shall be. You could just say that. Just say the Shema v'dibarta bam vehayu adevrim ha'ele asher anachim mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. The word vehayu, it's an extra word. It's not necessary. So vehayu means bahaveyatan yihu. They should be as they are, which, according to one opinion, meant you can't translate them. According to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, means you can't translate it. You have to say it in Hebrew. According to the Chachamim, it means shelo yikra lemafreya, that you shouldn't read it out of order. So here we go. Our Braita now is like the opinion of the Chachamim. Tanya idach, another Braita says vehayu shelo yikra lemafreya, should not be read out of order. Now this is really the crux of our discussion. Al levavecha, the first paragraph of Shema says, "V'hayu adivrim ha'ela asher nachem zechayom al levavecha." They should be on your heart. How do we understand being on your heart? What does that mean? You have to understand it. Being on your heart means you have to understand it. Rav Zutra Omer Ad Kan Mitzvat Kavana. So the first paragraph you have to understand. That's what Kavana means. You have to understand. Mikan ve'elach Mitzvat Kriya. After the first paragraph, meaning for the second paragraph, your mitzvah is to read it. Rabbi Yoshia Omer, opposite. Ad kan mitzvat kriya, the first paragraph you have to read, mikan ve'elach mitzvat kavana. For the second paragraph, you need to understand it. Okay? So we have a machloket between Rav Zutra, who says, first paragraph that says, al levavecha, you have to understand. Second paragraph, read. Rav Zutra says, no. Rav Yoshia says, no. First paragraph, read. Second paragraph, understand. The Gemara is now going to say, why are we discussing this? So first, let me throw these psukim onto the board. Can you see this pasuk? I don't know where my head is in the screen share. I don't want to block it. Oh, there I am. Okay, I'm going back. Now, hopefully, you could see me. This is the first. Sorry, this is the second paragraph of Shema. This is the first paragraph of Shema. Shema Yisrael v'hayu hadevrim ha'ela asher nechem mitzavecha yom al levavecha. These words should be on your heart. V'shinantam levanecha. You should teach them to your children. V'dibarta bam, and you should speak them. The fact that it says v'dibarta bam means you need to read Shema. The fact that it says al levavecha means it needs to be on your heart. Second paragraph of Shema. It says, these words should be should be on your heart. What does it mean for Shema to have to be on your heart? It means you should understand it. So the second paragraph of Shema you have to understand. And also the second paragraph of Shema, it says, you should teach them to your children, to speak them. So you see in red, you have on your heart, and you have to speak. And then in this the first paragraph, it says on your heart, and you have to speak. They both say your heart, which would imply you need to understand it, and they both say v'dibarta bam or ledaber bam, which means you have to speak it, which would imply you have to actually recite the Shema. Now we have a machloket of two opinions, Rav Zutra and Rav Yoshaya, of what exactly you have to read and what you have to have kavanah. Rav Zutra amar ad kan mitzat kavanah. First paragraph you have to understand because it says kavanah. Mikan velech mitzat kriya. And the second paragraph you have to read. Rabbi Yoshia omer ad kan mitzat kriya. No, first paragraph you have to read. Second paragraph you have to understand. So the Gemara is going to say, are these things mutually exclusive? Why would you say that the second paragraph, going to the opinion of Rav Zutra, that says first paragraph you have to understand, second paragraph you have to read? Why would you have to read the second paragraph? Because it says you have to speak in it. The first paragraph also says you have to read it. So why would Rav Zutra say the first one you just have to understand, the second one you have to read? Why would you have to read the second one? Because it says the berbam, first one says v'dibartabam. So you're right. Okay, Hachi Kamar, you're right. Let me clarify. Ad kam mitzat kavana kriya. Rav Zutra says the first paragraph you have to read because it says v'dibartabam, and you have to understand because it says the second paragraph, since it says you just have to speak it. You just need to read it without understanding. But the Gemara says, but it also says the heart. First paragraph, you require both understanding and reciting because it says the second paragraph also. It also says it should be on your heart and you have to speak it. Why would you differentiate? The answer number one that the Gemara tells us, because the second paragraph where it says it should be on your heart, that is actually tying to what Rabbi Yitzchak says. He says these words should be the tefillin physically needs to be placed next to your heart. In the first paragraph, when it says in your heart, it means you have to understand the words. The second paragraph, when it says by your heart, it's not about you understanding the words, it's about teaching you about the physical placement of the tefillin. You get it? So that's why, if I'm going to show on the screen, this paragraph, which is the first paragraph of Shema, Al means you need to understand. V'dibarta ba means you have to read it. Second paragraph, the Daber also means you have to read it, but Al is tying back to V'samtem et divrei ele. You should physically place these words on your heart. Not V'hayu adivrim ala asher but V'samtem. You need to physically place them next to your heart, meaning it's talking about your tefillin. That's why you have Rav Zutra say in the first paragraph, you need to have kavanah, second paragraph, you don't need to have kavanah. Okay? So to encapsulate Rav Zutra in one question, my question is, Rav Zutra only requires you to have kavanah in the first paragraph. You need to recite both the first and second paragraphs. But he only requires you to have kavanah to understand the words in the first paragraph. Why the difference? Someone answer. According to Rav Zutra, why the difference between the first paragraph and the second paragraph?
Meaning, why does he require you to understand or to have kavanah in the first and not in the second?
Correct.
Because they both use the same word.
They both imply.
Required in the second and in the first say it's for your tefillin.
Okay, no, I wasn't asking that, but you're already giving me the answer. The answer is because in the first paragraph, al levavecha means you need to understand it. The second paragraph, al levavchem, is not talking about understanding. The requirement there is telling you the placement of tefillin. It's not teaching you a requirement of understanding. It's teaching you a requirement of tefillin placement. That's how Rav Zutra holds. Yeah.
The Kaddishi doesn't discuss tefillin placement,
Um,
or just discusses the mitzvot.
yeah, I don't think it uses the words of Visamtem al levavecha. That's a very good question.
It's not 24.
Yes. It says you have to place it on your arm or in your hand, really. That's telling you the placement. Yes, correct. In the Kadesh Shli, it does tell you that it should be between your eyes and it should be on your hand. But the fact that it needs to be not over here on your hand, but it actually has to be up here next to your heart, you're learning it from the second paragraph of Shema. From it says V'samtem edrayla al levavchem. So it's not the hand over here; it's right here next to the heart, angled toward the heart. Very good. Question? Yes. Okay. We didn't discuss the third paragraph. We're actually gonna get into it a little bit later. We're gonna get into the requirements of the third paragraph a little bit later. Once we discuss it, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is gonna come back and we'll discuss it. Okay. Good. Okay. I'm gonna ask. Yes.
That's why also the second paragraph is about kind instead of
Yeah. Very good. So the first paragraph of Shema is written in singular, giving a here. The first paragraph of Shema is as ve'ahavta, singular, you shall love, as opposed to ve'ahavtem. Ve'ahavta, you shall love b'chol levavcha, with your entire heart. This levavcha, this suffix cha, means your singular. How would you say your plural? Levavchem, right? Atem, nafshecha, me'odecha, v'hayu adivim el asher nechem mitzavecha, that I'm commanding you, hayom al levavecha, should be on your heart. Ushinatam levanecha, it should be to your heart. This is all singular. V'dibarta, singular. Coming to the second paragraph, this one is im shamoa tishmeu el mitzotai. Now it's talking about plural. The entire paragraph is written to a group of people. V'samtem, you shall place plural. Al levavchem, on your hearts, plural. An nafshechem, on your hearts, plural. Ukshartem, on your is plural. Otam is talking about the tefillin. Lot al yadchem, on your arms. V'hayu tefot ben enechem, between your eyes. V'limatem otam, you plural should teach them to your children. Benechem, again plural. Ledaber ba. So you see the entire paragraph is written in plural. One is written in singular, one is written in plural. That's right, and they're consistent. I don't think that's necessarily connected to the tefillin. Yeah, I think there's written in different tenses. Interesting observation as to why that would be written differently, but they're written differently. Yeah, they're consistent. Good. Any other questions? Let's go. According to Rav Zutra, I'm just asking the same question again, okay? So don't get confused. According to Rav Zutra, why is it that the first paragraph of Shema, you have to have kavanah, but the second paragraph, and understand the words, but the second paragraph, you don't need to in order to fulfill your obligation? Very good. Because the only reason why you need to have kavanah and understand it, because it says al levavecha. Even though it says it in Vehayim Shemo, it also says al levavchem. That's talking about tefillin placement, not about requirement of understanding. Yeah, don't double dip. Very good. Oh, we're starting our waterfall thing again. Okay. He said double dip. John, think of something to say the same thing. Okay. Amar Mar. So now we're going to talk about the second opinion. Rabbi Yoshaya Omer. Rabbi Yoshaya is going to be flipped. Ad kan mitzvat keriah. First paragraph, you need to recite. Mikan ve'elach mitzvat kavanah. Second paragraph, you need to understand. So Rav Zutra requires the understanding in the first paragraph. Rabbi Yoshaya requires understanding in the second paragraph. And he says you need to read the first paragraph and just understand the second paragraph. So now we're going to ask the same questions. Like, hold on a second. Are these two exclusive? Why is it that the second paragraph Rabbi Yoshaya says you need to understand? Why? Because it says on your hearts. The first paragraph says also says on your hearts. So if you're going to require in the second paragraph, you should require in the first. Hachi kamar, you're right. Let me clarify. Adkan in the first paragraph, mitzvat kriya v'kavana. You need both. In the first paragraph, you need both kavana and kriya, which now that agrees with Rav Zutra. Mikan va'elach. But for the second paragraph, kavana below kriya. All you need to do is understand it. You don't actually have to recite it. And now we have boiled down the machloket between Rav Zutra and Rav Shia. They both agree that in the first paragraph you need to read it, and they both agree the first paragraph you need to understand it. For the second paragraph, Rav Zutra says you only need to speak it, and Rav Yoshia says you only need to understand it. Meaning you don't even need to recite it. Let's see. Why is it that in the first paragraph you tell me I need to both read it and understand it? Because it says on your hearts and speak it. Second paragraph also uses both the expression about speaking and on your hearts. So really it says, you know that second paragraph, when it says ledaber bam, you need to speak about them. That's not talking about the requirement of reciting Shema. That's talking about a requirement of teaching your children Torah. And this is what the Torah is requiring. Agmiru benaychu Torah, teach your children Torah to the point where kihechi deligresu behu. So to the point for them to be able to speak it. So it's telling you a measure of how much you need to teach your children Torah. You see what's happening? I'm going to pull up the second paragraph, because this second paragraph, read the context. V'limatem otam et benechem, you should teach them to your children, ledaber bam, to speak them. See how he's explaining it? He's saying the words ledaber bam is not telling you have to recite Shema. It's telling you that to the extent to which you need to teach your children. You need to teach your children. How much do I need to teach my children? Ledaber bam, to the point where they can now speak the Torah. If they hear the Torah, but they can't repeat it, they can't say Torah, then you need to keep going. You need to teach Torah to the point where they are confident enough to not repeat it. So now you see what happens. According to Rav Zutra, al levavchem doesn't mean you need to understand. It's teaching about tefillin placement. But according to Rav Yoshia, daber bam doesn't mean you need to recite Shema. It's teaching you how much you need to teach Torah to your children. Unbelievable. By the way, anyone has little kids? You have little kids, you have little kids, you have little kids. Be'ezrat Hashem, you should all have in good health very soon. You have little kids, Baruch Hashem. You have Ezra Sofer. So being able to teach your child to read, to become familiar with the words, to be able to repeat the words of Torah, it helps in so many ways, because if they're familiar with the words of the Torah, they're going to be able to read the Torah. They'll be able to be familiar with the sounds from a very young age. When you teach them the Shema Yisrael, you teach them the Shema Yisrael with the Ta'amim. You teach them to say the words in Hebrew, not in English. We teach them to say the words in Hebrew. Teach them to the point that they're able to say it, because the more that they are able to say those words, the more comfortable they are with the words. They are learning it more than just hearing it. Hearing it is one level. Repeating it is something else. That's why sometimes when we're teaching about a rule or something, I want everyone to say it, because saying it, as the Mishnah Pirkei Avot tells us, is a next level. Being able to say it helps with reinforcing it and making sure that it stays in your mind. Okay, so now it's unbelievable, because according to Rabbi Yoshia, the second paragraph of Shema, you don't even need to read it. You just need to understand what it means. What does that mean? Think about it. You fulfill your obligation. We don't hold like this, but it's pretty interesting opinion. Yeah. Okay, excellent question. How can you teach it to your kids if you're not going to read it? Answer. Okay, refine. We're talking about two. Very good. You're talking about two completely independent mitzvot. One mitzvah is the mitzvah of understanding Shema every day. You have to just understand it. You have another independent mitzvah of educating your children. The same way how, according to Rav Zutra, you have two independent mitzvot. One is to read the Shema Yisrael, and the other one is to put your tefillin on. They're not the same thing. So it says ledaber bam, that means you have to say Shema. It says alavavecha, that's about tefillin placement. Now, Rabbi Yoshia does the reverse. He says it says alavavchem, that means I need to understand this paragraph daily. Ledaber bam means I need to teach my children. Has nothing to do with the reciting the Shema. It's a independent mitzvah that's in here. You need to teach to the point that they're able to repeat. Okay, so if you teach someone something, but they can't repeat it back, then you haven't reached the level of teaching them properly. You have to be able to teach it back. Now do you understand why I asked the same question multiple times? Because like you're leaving me hanging here when you don't answer the first time. So we gotta make sure you gotta answer that. You got it? Yeah, okay, good. Question.
Correlates all anything while we whisper part.
Why we whisper which part? I like it. According to Rabbi Yoshia, you don't even need to say it, so it's fine that you whisper it. Yeah. I don't think we're doing it in line with this opinion. We don't hold like this opinion. The truth is, we're gonna see that we hold for kavanah at least, we're gonna hold like an opinion that says the first line. But for reciting, we're going to hold that really the chatchila, you need to say all three paragraphs, first, second, and the third. The chatchila, b'diavad, even the first line. Oh yeah.
So on the flip side, both of them, where do they learn out their halachot? Each other's opinion.
I like it. Very good. That's the right question to ask. You're saying, okay, remember we did this in last shiur, where we had a machloket between Rebbe and Chachamim, and we said what each one did with the other one, but then we said, what's the rejection, right? So you should ask, where does Rav Yoshia learn about tefillin placement? And where does Mar Zutra learn about the benchmark of how much you need to teach your children? Good question. Okay, the Gemara doesn't deal with these questions, but it's an excellent type of framing the discussion. Very good. Okay, let's keep going. All right, here we go. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita that's now going to trump all of the other opinions. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ad Kan Tzricha Kavanat Halev. Until here is when you need to understand what you're saying. Divrei Rabbi Meir. That is the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Amar. Okay, Rabbi Meir is a Tana. Amar Rava, who is an Amora, says Halacha ki Rabbi Meir. The law is like Rabbi Meir. So we had all of these machloket. Whether you need to understand the Shema, the whole first paragraph, the first two paragraphs, just the first half of the first paragraph. All of this discussion comes to Rabbi Meir, says, guys, 6 words. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. That's it. And then Rava says, yeah, okay, just make it simple. You know, what do you say? Sach nagir. Okay, just first the first couple of words. So here, again, what we're talking about is we have a requirement to recite the words. If I recite the words without understanding what I'm saying, do I fulfill my obligation? The answer is partially you need to understand. At least for some portion, you need to understand. So we need, now what we're saying is you need to understand the Shema Yisrael, that line, and we're hopefully going to expand on the understanding of it. What are the one? Let's just explain it for a second. What does Shema Yisrael mean? Here, but it's more than just here. It's not just to hear with your ear. It's also to understand and to contemplate. Like it means to meditate on or to listen, but more than listen, it's like to think about the following. Israel, reflect on this. Israel, Adonai, which is referring to the Yud, Hey, and Vav, Hey, it's referring to our God, Eloheinu. We accept Him as our God. And Adonai, Echad, and He's the only one. He is unified. He is the only God, right? So this Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad is number one. It's accepting Adonai as God, and it's accepting Him as only one, and it's accepting Him as the only one. All of that is done in these couple of words. So that you need to understand. You know, like if you don't understand the bare bones of Shema Yisrael, which is accepting God as the only God, then you're not fulfilling anything from Shema Yisrael. You need to understand at least that. Okay? Now we're gonna get into a little bit more. So we had Rabbi Meir says first paragraph. Rava comes and says, yeah, halakha is like him. Now we have this famous Gemara by Sumchus. I'm gonna share some fun things tonight. Tanya, Sumchus Omer. Sumchus is another opinion, and he says, Kol hama'arich be'echad. When you say the Shema Yisrael, you should, whoever elongates and stretches out the word Echad, ma'arichin lo yamav ushnotav. He will live an elongated life. Elongate the word Echad, you will in turn receive an elongated life. Okay? Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov. But Rav Acha bar Yaakov wants to qualify the statement and says, Uve Dalet. You need to elongate the Dalet letter, not the Chet, not the Aleph, because if you say, you didn't say anything yet. Even if you say, you didn't say anything yet. So Rav Acha is saying, no, you have to do it at the end by elongating the Dalet. So someone want to try to elongate a Dalet for me? Echad. Yep. Yeah, that's how you could do it. The thing is that the Aleph is something you could elongate. The Chet is something you could elongate. Let's say Mem is something you could elongate. The D is very difficult. It's like I'm trying to get it out, but I'm trying to hold it. It's very hard. What about a G sound? Try to elongate a G sound. I'm not saying go G. I'm saying go. Right? It's hard. The Dalet is not something you can elongate. The way that the placement of the mouth is, you can hear some people say Echad. You're actually making up a new word that has multiple Dalets. You're not elongating one letter. So what are you supposed to do here? The answer is, I've heard Rabbi Eli Mansur say many times in his recordings that he quoted Rabbi Yosef. The Teimanim, the way they pronounce the Daled is that when it's not emphasized, it doesn't have a dagesh in it, they pronounce it as a th sound, almost like a the of in Spanish, right? A, B, C, D. But the D is more soft, like th. It's like a TH, but it's not really a TH, it's like a DH. Now you could say Echad. If that's the sound, you could elongate it. This is a proof of the way the Teimanim pronounce it, because this is how they say it. Echad. They do the Dalet soft Echad. They do the Taf with the dot. Without it is a Thuf sound. You've heard this before? You haven't heard this before? Okay, so you have to get out of our counting sets once in a while. Yeah, go to other places and you'll hear it. No, there are some that do this. Also, some Syrians do it. Not all. But yeah, okay. Anyway, so this is a proof. So what I've heard from Rabbi Eli Mansur that Rav Avadia writes that for this everyone should be Teimani, because clearly you have to extend it somehow. So even though we don't say it as a th sound, for this you could say Echad, and that's it. That's how Echad, to extend the th sound. Okay, we should discuss why he says to do this. But let's ask him. You can ask him because what does he do? He does this, and he holds he says Shema Yisrael Hashem Eloheinu Hashem Echad.
Really good at it.
Sorry, it's painful. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna burst something, but okay. So we'll ask Rabbi Mikey. What? No, he's in Israel. Okay, so we'll get some voice notes. We'll ask Rabbi Chaim. I've heard Rabbi Chaim say how this is the proof that the way the Teimanim pronounce it is correct. And Rabbi Chaim, I've also heard him say that if you say Echad, you're tipesh. Because you're saying something, you're making up another word. That's not the right way. So yeah, I would say if you want to do it Teimani style, you could do Echad. If you don't want to, try to say Echad but that's it. You don't add vowels to it. It's echad, and we'll ask Mikey how he does it. If you think he's a pro at it, we'll ask him how he does it. Okay, so what we're saying here is Sumcha says you should extend. We're going to understand why you should extend in a second. Rav Acha says, but when you extend, don't extend the chet or the aleph, extend the dalet. Rav Asher Amar, ubilbad shelo yachtof bachet. He says, but be careful here. Don't truncate the chet by making the chet short. What does that mean? So someone now wants to elongate the dalet. So what does he say? He says, you know what? For me to make my dalet seem longer, let me say everything else in triple speed. Right? So like you barely said the aleph for the chet. So I guess like Rav Asher has seen people doing this, and he says you say the rest of the word on normal speed. Say echad, echad, like that, like so. Now, why? So there's a bunch of different opinions because you are trying to think about different things during this time. What are you thinking about? Here's one of the things they say. For the letter chet, you should have the kavanah that Ribbono. First, the aleph. What do you have kavanah when you think about the aleph? That Hashem is one, which is, in fact, the word echad. You're thinking about the fact that Hashem is echad. Okay, there's one unison of God. He's not made up of any parts. En lo guf, en lo demotu guf. He's not made up of any body, because if God had a physical body, what would that mean? If God had a physical body, that means that he would be made up of parts. For sure, correct. He'd be limited, and also he'd be he can be multiples, because then he has two arms and he has two legs. But Hashem is all one. So there's one in its term that we don't understand. Any one that you could think of is made up of parts. Tell me something that's one. You have one table. Well, no, this one table is made up of many, many components. You could go down to even one molecule, which is made up of multiple atoms. You could even say one atom, which is made up of many subatomic particles. So there is nothing in this world that is one in a sense that it's not made up of parts. The only thing we know about Hashem is that he's not like any of that, right? Because we don't know what one really means. So this is an idea you're supposed to have, that Hashem's oneness is different from all other oneness. What about the chet? The way that they say is, I'm going to say, I don't necessarily understand what it means, but that there are 7 levels of Shemaim, 7 heavens. You've heard about this, and the one earth. So you think about this, Hashem is on all planes, or on this world, and Shemaim. I don't know what it means, but what it means is that Hashem is up there and Hashem is down here. But in the heavens and on the earth, that's why you have the number 8. The number 8 is for the 7 rakiot, 7 heavens and 1 earth. And then when you get to the Dalet, what do you have in mind? The 4 corners of earth in all directions, all people. There isn't any area on earth that Hashem is not his jurisdiction is over. So these are thoughts that you should have during the Shema, which is why he's saying you should elongate. He's not saying to make a game out of it. He's saying to do this and to think about that Hashem is the one in a unique oneness that we don't know of anything else like it. That Hashem is the God of the 7 heavens and earth. Not to say that Hashem is not limited in one place or the other. Hashem is the same Hashem everywhere, and Hashem is the same Hashem in the 4 corners of the earth. Let's get to Rebbe. Okay? Now, there was one rabbi, before we do that, there was one rabbi who was taking a very long time in the Shema Yisrael. And since he was taking a very long time in the Shema Yisrael, you know what that meant? That meant that he would never start Amidah with the Sibur. He would never start praying Amidah with the rest of the Sibur, because while everyone else is already up to and what is he doing? He's still up to the Dalet. So what happened? Rabbi Yirmiyah Havayatev Kamed Rabbi Chia Baraba. Once Rabbi Yirmiyah was sitting there in front of Rabbi Chia Baraba. He saw that he was spending a long time with saying Shema. Amalei, he said to him, listen, Kevan de amlichte lemala ulamata ula ruchot hashamayim. Once you've accepted and made Hashem your king and your God, up, above, down, below, and in the 4 directions, you don't need to do anymore. That's it. If you want to have kavanot about Hashem, you could have kavanot for 2 hours. But you're in the middle of saying Shema Yisrael. You're in the middle of your tefillah. Right now, this is what you need to do. You need to have in mind that Ribbono Shel Olam is the God of up, below heaven and earth, four corners of the earth. That's it. So these is thoughts that indeed we should have during the Shema Yisrael. Okay.
Rabbi, this is the fourth. Which one was the fourth opinion of the concentration?
The fourth opinion of the consecration.
You said there was Rav Zutra, there was Rav Oshia, there was
Rabbi Meir.
Rabbi Meir. You said there were four, no?
Yes. So in the previous Braita, I think it was Rabbi Eliezer. If I scroll up, it was on the bottom of 13a. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says the first half of the first paragraph. Rabbi Akiva and others say the first paragraph. Then we have Rav Zutra that says, sorry, Rabbi Yoshia that says first two paragraphs. Actually, there's another opinion that says the first two paragraphs also. Here. This is a Tanakama. It's unnamed. The first opinion of the second Braita says the whole first two paragraphs. And now what we're learning, according to Rabbi Meir, is just the first line. Okay? And that's what Rabbi Yirmiyah is saying. Is it Rabbi Yirmiyah? Rabbi Yirmiyah is saying you just need to have in mind the first line that Hashem is above, below, and the four corners, and that's it. Okay. Amar Natan bar Mar Ukva Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Al levavecha, when you say al levavecha, ba'amida, you need to be standing. In the Shema Yisrael, when you say V'hayu adrim ha'ela asher nachem yisavecha yom al levavecha, it says ba'amida, you need to be standing. Yes? Question? Yeah, it's completely against.
My students were watching.
Yeah, very good, Rabbi Tarfon. We had machloket with Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, and Bet Shammai said in the morning you have to do standing, in the evening you just lying down, and Bet Hillel says Kol adam holech kedarko, you sit however you want. And then once Rabbi Tarfon lied down in the middle of the night, he almost got killed. And they said if you would have, it would have been your fault because you wanted to do like the Bet Shammai and you didn't have to. So good question. So the Gemara says, do you first the question is, does it mean? Actually, no, they don't. Here we go. Ba'amida says Rashi, afilu lebet Hillel. The Amri, even according to Bet Hillel, the Amri oskin memachtam v'korin, that says you can be doing whatever physical position you want to be. Umehalachin v'korin, modim hem shesarich la'amod b'makom echad. Ad mikra hazeh, lefi she'ad kan mitzad kavana. When we say standing, it doesn't mean standing. It means being stationary, staying still. So when our Gemara here says that, oh, Rabbi Natan says that Alav Avecha, you need to be standing. It doesn't mean standing. It means staying still. So if you're sitting, stay sitting. If you're standing, stay standing. And if you're walking, stop. If you're lying down, stay that way. Don't move around. Why? Because until Alav Avecha, this is according to the opinion that the first half of Shema, you need to have kavanah. So first the Gemara says, do you mean literally those two words? Just those two words? No, ad ba'amida. It's until alav, meaning if you're looking at the chart that is here. Just these first three lines of Shema, which is indeed one of the opinions. The first half of the Shema Yisrael is where you need to understand. So don't move. Focus. You need to be thinking. From then on, you don't need to. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Kula Parasha Kula B'Amida. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, the whole first paragraph. By the way, we still hold like this. During the first paragraph of Shema, you should not be looking at anything else. You should not be doing anything else. You should not be multitasking. You should be focused on the Shema Yisrael. The whole first paragraph. Even though we're going to say that halacha is just that first line, but this is something that there are so many opinions. You gotta, we ideally, we try to keep to all of these opinions. That means in the first paragraph of Shema, if someone comes and asks you a question, you don't say anything. You don't respond. You close your eyes. Truth of the matter is, if you're in a Bet Knesset and you're saying Shema, most people are understanding, oh, he's in the middle of his prayers. I guess if you're at home, sometimes it happens where I'm praying at home and my kids come up to me or something. you try to, obviously, if something's dangerous, it's a different situation. We spoke about, in a situation where you could greet someone or you could respond to someone. We're not talking about a situation of danger, but all else equal, during the first paragraph of Shema, you should be staying still. Shouldn't be moving. You shouldn't be checking, doing other things. You should be focused. Why? Because you need to think about it. That's what it means by Amidah. The Asda Rabbi Yochanan that's Amen, Rabbi Yochanan, who says the whole first paragraph, he's going according to his opinion. This is consistent with Rabbi Yochanan's opinion that says you need to understand the whole first paragraph. Okay, let's get to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. It's a fun story. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. We're really discussing every single option here. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. That 6 words. Zo Kiryat Shema Shel Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. That was the entire Kiryat Shema of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi would say these 6 words, and that's it. He wouldn't say Ve'afta. He wouldn't say V'haya. He wouldn't say Vayomer. His Shema Yisrael was Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Done. Amar le Rav l'Rechiya. So Rav says to Rabbi Chia on this topic. Rav says to Rabbi Chia. By the way, they both Rav and Rabbi Chia would go to the shiurim of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. So one of the students said to the other one of the students, Lo chazen aleh l'Rebbe de mikabel aleh malchut shamayim. He says, I never see Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi saying Shema Yisrael. I never see our Rebbe doing it. What does that mean? That means he started giving a shiur in the morning before the time of Shema. Because if he started giving shiur at 8 a.m., so we said it before. But what he's saying is, he starts giving shiur when it's still nighttime, and he gives shiur all the way through to the end of the end time of Shema, and I don't see him ever saying Shema. How is that possible? This is what Rav asked Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi doesn't say Shema. So Amarle, he says Bar Pachte, he says, hey, son of nobleman, meaning Talmid Chacham. Hold on a second. Before you say that he doesn't do this, Bisha'ah shema'avir yadav al panav. You know that time where he puts his hand on his eyes? He puts his hands on his face? Mikabel alav ol malchut shamayim. In that moment, he's accepting the heavenly yoke of Hashem, and he's saying Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Which means, in the middle of shiur, every morning, he would go like this, and Rav didn't know that he was actually saying Shema Yisrael during that moment. Because Shema Yisrael is much longer. But Rabbi Chia says that all he's doing is he's saying the first couple of words of Shema, and he's fulfilling his obligation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just been introduced to the custom of covering your eyes when you're saying the Shema Yisrael. This is it. This is, you see how Rebbe, in the middle of his shiurim, Rabbi Chia, Rav was saying, I never see him saying Shema. He's like, oh, he does that when he goes like this. That's when he's saying Shema Yisrael, when he's covering his eyes. So you know the custom, right? Some go like this, some go like this. You make the letter of the shin. This is, again, this doesn't really matter, but this is the practice of going like this. You make the letter shin, you put your 2 fingers on your 2 eyes or in between, something like this. The point, what do? You went like this. You have a little bit more spread. You have a little bit more, depends. The Kohen goes like this, goes like that. You can bring your own independence into this, bring your own personality. But no, in all seriousness, what we're seeing here is that you should be covering your eyes with your hand. It says the moment that he would cover his face with his hand, that's when he was accepting Shema. You see, that's where the practice is from. You don't need to do this, but we see it's a practice, and this is indeed a practice. Why do we do it? In order to focus. Doesn't matter if you go like this or like this or like this. Yeah, there's different opinions, but the main thing is that you're covering your eyes so that you don't open your eyes and get distracted, and so that you focus on that first line of Shema Yisrael. So this is what Rebbe would do. Good? Okay, let's go a little bit more. I want to show you Shulchan Aruch. Let's go a little bit more. The Gemara says, okay, now I have a question. So he was in the middle of shiur. So when he was in the middle of shiur, he didn't want to take a 2-minute break. So he would quickly say this. But after the shiur was done, would he read the rest of the Shema Yisrael? Would he say Ve'afta? Would he say Ve'haya? Would he say Vayomer? Would he say it? So Bar Kapara Omer, Eno Chozer V'gamra. No, Bar Kapara says, no. He wouldn't. He just would skip it. He just never would do it. Rabbi Shimon Berebi Omer, but Rabbi Shimon says, Chozer V'gamra. No, he would. So now we have a difference of opinion of whether, after the fact, later, he would just go through and say the rest of the Shema Yisrael or not. Bar Kapara says he doesn't. Rabbi Shimon says he does. So Bar Kapara Amar le Bar Kapara Rabbi Shimon beRebbi. So Bar Kapara says, okay, hold on. I don't think he did, and I have a proof. You know what my proof is? Bishlama lididi. According to me, I have a proof. I hold that he did not repeat it. That is why during the shiur, every time Rebbe would mention something about leaving Egypt. During that time in the morning, he would always mention something about Yetziat Mitzrayim. Why? Because he wasn't going to go say Vayomer later. So he has to think about Yetziat Mitzrayim, so he would incorporate that into the shiur. I don't know how he would say it. He would say like Baruch Hashem Yitbarach Shemo Hotzienu Mitzrayim. I don't know, something like that. He would somehow incorporate it into talking about leaving Egypt into all of the shiurim. So Bar Kapara says, you know why? Because he wasn't going to go say the Shema Yisrael. And in the third paragraph of Shema, this is what you were asking before about understanding it. The kicker of the third paragraph of Shema is Yetziat Mitzrayim, which you need to do. And you need to understand. So Rebbe holds the requirement of Shema is just those first 6 words. So he's just going to say the first 6 words. He's not going to say the rest. So he has to somehow incorporate Yetziat Mitzrayim in all of his shiurim. But you, Rabbi Shimon, you, Rabbi Shimon, say afterwards he would go ahead and he would say the whole Shema. So he's going to say Yetziat Mitzrayim. So if he's going to say Yetziat Mitzrayim, lama le. So how come in every single shiur he would mention the Yetziat Mitzrayim? He's going to mention that later when he reads the Shema. So the Gemara answers, because he wanted to mention Yetziat Mitzrayim during the proper time of Shema Yisrael. So he would, during the time, there's a start time and end time of Shema Yisrael, he would make sure to say the first line, and he would make sure to mention Yetziat Mitzrayim. Then after the latest time of Shema, at some point during the day, he could go ahead and repeat it all, just so that he was saying it. But since he wasn't saying the Yetziat Mitzrayim during the time of Shema, he wanted to make sure to say during the time of Shema, he would incorporate it into his shiur. Okay? Questions? Let's pause for questions. Yes, Cody.
Kind of reminds me how the joke you would say.
Me?
You mentioned this guy that couldn't stop talking about Parshat Shur or something. It's like, okay, I'll talk about something else. And like he drops his water bottle and it falls around. Oh, you saw how it's like Korach, how it falls. How he throws it. Oh, by the way, Yetziat Mitzrayim.
Yeah, he would somehow incorporate Yetziat Mitzrayim into each and every shiur, which was clear that it was a conscious effort. So it was clear that he was doing that because he wanted to fulfill this mitzvah. So that's why Bar Kapara says, so clearly he's not going to say it later. And then Rabbi Shimon says, no, he will say it later, but he just wanted to say that part during the time of Shema, which it seems like they would have an intense Gemara shiur, because he would start, not Gemara, it was Rabbi Dana, see the times of the Mishnah, but they would have an intense shiur, because they would start before the start time of Shema, and they would end after the end time of Shema. It's like a 4-hour shiur, and he would only stop to say a Shema Yisrael. We're talking about like a 4-hour shiur starting at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., like, oh, people are waking up after the latest time of Shema. Meanwhile, they have done a full shiur without talking about anything else until then. That's it's a different generation. Yes, question. You had a question.
Accepting the mitzvot, which is the second paragraph. No need for him to mention that during the shiur. Is there like more importance on remembering?
So he's of the opinion, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi and Rabbi Meir of the opinion that one does not need to, from the Torah, and does not need to recite the entire first paragraph of Shema, and does not need to recite the second paragraph of Shema, just the first line. Now, I will say on this, all the commentators ask, so why do we say it? And the answer, it's not that Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is saying you don't need to do it. He's saying, if it's going to come at the expense of Torah study, because he was teaching it clearly, he was giving a shiur. He didn't want to interrupt his shiur and say, okay, let's take a 5-minute break. He didn't want to do that. So if it's going to come at the expense of Torah study, so then just say the minimum. But if you're not going to be studying Torah, you're going to be doing something else, then you should say it all, which is why we have the practice of everyone says it. But indeed, if someone is Torato Umanuto, someone is only doing Torah. I remember when I was in yeshiva in Israel, I remember once, maybe it was Rosh Chodesh, and the Chazan was like spending a lot of time singing and enjoying, and the rabbi, the Rosh Yeshiva, wasn't happy about it. And afterwards, he said, like I want the yeshiva to get to learning. Like, yeah, granted, we want to sing songs, but understand that the 5 extra minutes that we put into the Hallel is taking away from 5 extra minutes of learning. Now, you might say, like, well, what's a bit of 5 minutes? But it's more of a mentality of every second of Torah matters, and anything that's going to take away from that, you need to be protective of, even if it's singing. If someone wants to do it, go ahead and do it. But the main yeshiva's minyan should be efficient and quick, so that you could go to studying Torah, which is when you have a yeshiva of hundreds of students, if that's what they're doing, 5 minutes times hundreds of students is hundreds, 500s of minutes. It matters. It adds up. So that's something that you have to care about. That's what Rabbi Dana sees. I'm in the middle of giving a shiur. All of these Tanaim are here. I'm over here. I'm Gadol Ador. He's the Nasi. He's giving a shiur. He says to take 3 minutes from everyone, and then now you're going to get everyone. You have to get them back up to speed. I don't want to do it. I want to keep going. Yeah, question.
Kind of say that if, let's say, like, there's an opportunity to do a mitzvah, you should go and do it, even if, like, let's say you're being studying Torah and you look outside, like, I don't know, some old lady needs like help with something, or some opportunity to do a mitzvah presents itself, like, shouldn't you just be like, no, like, I mean, like I said, should you get up and
okay,
pursue the mitzvah?
Very good. So we discussed this topic of osek b'mitzvah, patur min mitzvah. We discussed it. What daf? Chet? No. Tet? Okay, someone's got to check me. Sorry? Yud? I don't know. Yud Aleph? Oh, man. There we go. Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. Abokir or ba'erev. It's daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. We discussed the topic of osek b'mitzvah, patur min mitzvah. Everyone say it. Osek b'mitzvah, patur min mitzvah. When you're involved with one mitzvah, you're patur from doing other mitzvah. We then discussed, the Rambam tells us, but when it comes to Talmud Torah, it doesn't apply. Unless, efshar la'asot al yedei acherim. When you're studying Torah, if another mitzvah presents itself, you should stop studying Torah and go do the other mitzvah, unless the mitzvah can be done by others. If the mitzvah can be done by others, you should not stop studying Torah. You should keep studying Torah. So if it's a mitzvah that others can fulfill and others can do, then you should not stop your Torah study. So I'll give you an example. There's a room, and in the room, there's half of the people are studying Torah. The other half are eating tochmeh, and then they come and they say, hey, we need help with a minyan. We need help with something. So the half that's studying Torah says, like, ask them. Why? Not because the mitzvah is not important, but because the mitzvah can be done by others. So when mitzvah can be done by others, you do not stop a mitzvah that you're already involved with. So that's what Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is saying. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is giving a shiur, and this is something that no one else can do. He was the Nasi. He's giving the shiur. No one else was in his position. It's not something that's efshar la'asot adechem. You can't have someone else give the shiur. He's the one giving the shiur. So what does he do? He stops for the minimum amount. You have to say Shema Yisrael. You have to say Shema Yisrael. But more than that, I'm going to keep going. Yes.
Doesn't everyone else in the shiur?
Yeah. It seems like some were coming late, some were going early, but he was always there, right? People can get up and go to the bathroom. People can get up and go to prayer. Some people will go to earlier minyan, late minyan. But yeah, it's an excellent question. Or the other thing is maybe they could say Shema Yisrael while they're in there. But they weren't the ones talking. You're saying Shema Yisrael while he's up there and he's talking. But he was up there front and center going from beginning to end. When is he saying Shema? It's actually an excellent question. Like, when are the rest of the people saying Shema? The answer is clearly, like, some would come later, some would go later. Maybe they would say Shema Yisrael while they're in the shiur. Okay, good. So now that we had this discussion, what time is it? Okay, now that we had this discussion of all of these different opinions as to what is the minimum amount of Shema Yisrael that you need to have intent and you need to understand what it is, let's keep going. Amar Rabbi Ilah, B'red Rav Shmuel Bar Marta, Mishmei Derav. So this rabbi says, Amar Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad v'ne'enas b'shena yatsa. Let's say the person is falling asleep, okay? Falling asleep, you're talking about you should have prayed Arvit and you didn't. So, okay, you get up and you try to say Shema. You said Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad, you fell asleep. That's the case. Pretty specific case. This opinion, Rabbi Ilah says, Yatsa, you fulfilled your obligation. Why? Why did you fulfill your obligation? Because you said the first line and you understood what you were saying. Amar le Rav Nachman le Daru Avdeh. So Rav Nachman told Daru was his servant, his bartender. Daru, bia Daru. What does he say? Bepsuka kama sa'aran. If I'm saying the Shema Yisrael and you see I'm falling asleep, if I'm falling asleep in the first line, wake me up. Don't tell me to bother me. Tfe lo tetzaran. But if you see me dozing off in the middle, if you see me say Shema Yisrael, then wake me up. But if you say Shema Yisrael, then let me sleep. Right? I'm tired. So he told Daru, and this Daru is a tremendous Talmid Chacham because he has to be able to hear him mumbling. Oh, and unbelievable. So Daru was like listening intently to see where is he falling asleep, which words of Shema Yisrael he's in. This is what he would tell him. Amalei Rav Yosef berei derabba. So Rav Yosef would tell his colleague Rav Yosef, Avuch, meaning Rav Yosef, the son of Rabbah, Avuch hechi avi avid. In your home, I want to know what it was like. Was there ever a time that your dad was saying Shema Yisrael at nighttime? What does he do at home? Like, if you ever want to know something about like the rabbi, like what is going on in his home, the best way to do is to go ask his kid, because the kid's in the home and the kid sees. So that's what he does. He goes to Rav Yosef. He says, "Your father, Rabbah, what would he require?" So he responded, "Bipsuka kama." If he was falling asleep in the first line, he would bother himself. Meaning, he would push himself, he would get up, he'd splash himself with water, and I need to say Shema. But after that, he wouldn't take it such a big deal. He would, if he'd fall asleep, he'd fall asleep. Again, this might happen to you. Let's say it's very late, and you forgot to say Shema, you forgot to pray Arvit, and you're falling asleep. So you try to say it. But if you actually have zero energy, which I have a story about that, if you actually have zero energy, at the very least you say Shema Yisrael, that's something you have to push yourself to say. After that, you fall asleep. All right, but you fulfilled your obligation. There's a story with, hold on, I just want to get to a good stopping point. Let's do a few more lines, and I wanted to, so remind me to say the story of the Chazon Ish. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm not going to put you on the Zoom, but I'm going to ask, who wants to share what position they go to sleep in? Okay, I'll give you four options. On your back, on your belly, on your left side, or on your right side.
Which side? Left and on my right. Different side.
I just heard a bunch of sides. Anyone on their back? Anyone on their belly? What? Oh, it's bad for your back. Unless you have a pillow under your knees or something. Okay, so let's see what the Gemara thinks about going to the position of going to sleep. Okay, here we go. The Gemara has something to say about everything, including the position that you sleep in. Amar Rav Yosef, Prakdan, someone who is lying on his back, Prakdan means on his back, Lo Yikra Kriyat Shema. Don't say Kriyat Shema. Meaning, do not recite Kriyat Shema when you're lying down. You want to say Kriyat Shema al hamita, don't be al hamita. You have to sit up. You shouldn't say Kriyat Shema while you're lying on your back. Mikra hu delay likre. Ha mignash shapir shape dame. But the Gemara says, wait a minute. You're telling me don't say Shema this way. But you could sleep that way? Right? All it's saying is hey, when you're on your back, don't say Shema. Oh, but you're allowed to sleep in that position, right? Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi light aman de ganei parkid. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi would curse someone who sleeps lying on his back. So something like that, some sort of a curse. I don't know what curse they say in Babylonian, but donkey. You call him a donkey. So the person who sleeps on his back. What's the problem? Not sleeping on your back. So let me show you what Rashi says. You've heard of this halakha. Prakdan shochev al gabo. Someone who is lying on his back with panav lamala, his face is up. Light aman de ganei parkid. He cursed someone who would sleep on his back. Shema yitkashe varo betoch shnato. In his sleep, the man might have an erection, which it could be seen. It's assuming the guy is sleeping with roommates or something like that, and it's immodest. It's almost like during a sleep, it's possible that the person will have an erection, and then it's going to be seen to others, and that's not a modest thing. So that's why you shouldn't. You should sleep on the side, so if something like that happens, no one will be able to see. Okay? Someone was once asking, like, okay, but what if I'm not sleeping around other people? Would it be different? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's not as modest. I don't know. What does the footnote say?
Someone's hands press on his organ and holds it in their house.
Okay, so Rashi doesn't say that. Who do they quote?
Not to that.
Oh, Rashi elsewhere says that it's not just that someone might have something and then people will see, but it's actually because of the position it'll cause the person to get an erection. That's what Rashi in Masechah does. It's what? Yeah. So when someone is more positioned like this, then it might cause it. Okay. Okay. All right. Clearly, you should. It seems like you shouldn't lie down that way. Okay. Amri. So that's what the Gemara asks. The Gemara says, "Don't say Shema that way." Okay, I won't say Shema, but am I allowed to sleep that way? Rabbi Yoshua would curse people who would sleep that way. So Amri migna ki matzle shapir dami mikra afal gav de matzle nami asur. No. So we're saying that if one lies on his back while leaning, migna means now he's leaning, so he's on an angle. So you're allowed to sleep on an angle, but you should not say the Shema Yisrael when you're lying down. That's really what it comes to teach us here. That it's not that sleeping, you shouldn't sleep on your back, but you can sleep on your side. But you shouldn't say Shema when you're sleeping on your side, when you're lying down on your side. What? But we know that Rabbi Yochanan would do that. Rabbi Yochanan would lie on his side and say the Shema. Shani Rabbi Yochanan de Bal Basarava. Rabbi Yochanan was corpulent, which is another word of saying fat. He was overweight. He was very obese, and it was difficult for him to get up. He would be lying down, and then he'd have to get up. It would be very difficult. He was very obese. So what he would do is he would lean to the side, but most people, they shouldn't lean to the side to say Shema. Okay, we have a couple halachot that we want to look at, okay? Wait, what did I want to tell you? Oh, about, okay, we'll end off with the story of the Chazon Ish because it's a fun story. Let me show you a couple things of Shulchan Aruch. First Siman Shulchan Aruch is Siman Samech, okay? Or sorry, Siman Samech Aleph, Seif Dalet. Can you see the screen? Oh, again, no one in the Zoom told me. I wasn't showing the screen. Sorry. Okay. Seif Dalet. So this is Siman 61, Law 4. When you read the Kriyat Shema, you should say it loud in order to awaken intention, because you need to have intention. So saying it louder helps you to have intention. There's a custom to place one's hands over their faces. B'kriyat pasuk rishon. When you're reading the first pasuk, so that you don't see anything else that would distract you from having intention. Who did we see do this? Rabbi Dan Nasi would do this in the middle of a shiur. Sarich leha'arich bechet. You need to extend the chet shel echad in the word echad. So that you can say, you extending the chet is Hashem is up above in the seven heavens and down below. Okay. You also need to extend the dalet. To think that God is one, and He is ruling over the four corners of the earth. And don't do much longer than this. Like the story we had in the Gemara, where one rabbi told the others, like, you don't need to do more than that. Okay, fine. That's that. That's that. That's that. Okay. Then there was one more thing I wanted to point out to, was lying down on your back. And then we'll say the story of the Chazon Ish. Prakdan. Amanda Parkid. Okay. No, wrong one. For some reason it turns English all of a sudden. Okay. This is אבל לא פרקדן, דהיינו שפניו פתוחות בקרקע או מושטח על גבו ופניו למעלה, אבל קורהו ושוכב על צידו. This is telling us that when you say the Shema Yisrael, you should not be lying down. You are allowed to do it on your side. ואם היה בעל בשר ואינו יכול להתהפך על צידו, או שהיה חולה נוטה מעט לצדו וקורא. He says you should not say Shema lying on your back. You are indeed allowed to say Shema lying on your side. And if you're very heavy and it's hard for you to get to your side, you could go almost at an angle and to say Shema Yisrael. So he says if you're heavy, or he says if you're sick. And this might happen. This comes up. Let's say someone is very, very, very sick. They're stuck in bed for whatever it is. They have some sort of a virus. So one thing you could do is lying down, you could pray. You just tilt to the side to fulfill this halacha. The whole story about saying the Shema Yisrael and then falling asleep right after the Shema and not bothering, it reminds me of the story of the Chazon Ish. I once heard the story that the Chazon Ish lived in Bnei Brak, and there was a story once that the students were living they in his apartment next door. People were there, and one night they heard a huge thump, a huge sound, and they got very worried. So in the morning they asked him, what happened? We heard a huge sound last night. What happened? And he said, I fell down. And they said, why'd you fall down? And he says, I'll tell you why. Because my bed is on this side of the room, and over there I have a table that I study at. And I don't study on my bed, I study at the table. And every night I study Torah to the point that I have just enough energy to go from the table to the bed. Last night I miscalculated. On my way back, I fell. This is like the fun story. I don't know if it's real. Yeah, but he like collapsed. But like that's the point where someone is going until the very end that they can't even say Shema Yisrael, without energy. You're talking about someone that's like zero energy. Yeah.
Say Shema sitting at the desk.
Yeah. He would pray. He would go to minyan. We're not talking. The Chazon Ish was at the time of Hakamat HaMedina. He was there in 1948. He was going to every minyan. Like he wasn't the one that's like not praying because of Torah. But no, that was just a fun story of him like collapsing. Yeah. Okay, question?
What's the proper way to cover your eyes?
Proper way to cover your eyes. The answer is you just need to cover your eyes some way or another, however you want. It could be like this. I believe Al-Pi Kabbalah, if I'm not mistaken, it's Arizal, says that you should have your hand in the form of a shin and your these two fingers on your two eyes, like that. Like so. Like this. But it's okay if not. It's not a big deal. I actually haven't seen Rabbi Ben Chaim do this. Maybe I haven't looked because I'm saying the Shema while he's doing it. So I have to go see what he's doing. Someone go check for me. Okay? Any other questions? Shema Lamita, the proper way to do it is not to be lying down, as we're saying. So you could be sitting up in your own bed. You should have a kippah on your head, assuming everyone is dressed properly. One of the things about when you're praying is that your upper body and your lower body should be separate. So if someone is wearing even like a band, even the underwear has like a band or something, or a belt, let's say he's wearing a robe, it's fine to say Shema Yisrael. But if a person is not dressed, then they should not say Shema Yisrael and something like that. So if someone wants to say Shema and he's not dressed, he should get dressed, put something on, cover himself, cover his head to say Shema Yisrael. And what we're saying is you should say it like sitting up, focused. If you want to say it lying down, you should be lying to your side. And if you're sick, that it's very hard for you to do that, at the very least, don't do it straight on your back, but do it a little bit on an angle. Any other questions? Yes.
Question. Elongation of the Dalet. I thought there was a story with Rabbi Akiva's execution.
Ooh.
That there was some connection with that. That's why we do. That has something to do.
Okay, excellent question. That's a story that's brought up later about Rabbi Akiva. Yimach Shema v'Zichram, and the Romans decided that they're going to kill him. He tells his students that my entire life I said that I have to love Hashem b'chol levavcha, with your entire heart, b'chol nafshecha, your entire soul. Afilu hu notel et nafshecha. Even if God is going to take away your life, you should love Hashem. And he says, my entire life I've read this pasuk and I don't know if I've actually loved Hashem so much that I'm willing to give up my life for him. Until now, I know that I am, and I know I'm fulfilling this. And he says Shema Yisrael, and the way the story goes is that Yatsa Nishmato, he died when he was saying the word Echad, and at the very end of the word Echad is when his life was taken. That's not why we're extending. The source of extending is here in Daf Yud Gimel Amud Bet, where you're really extending. Sumchus tells us, and you have a long life because you're really focusing on what you're saying. The whole thing is, if you say the word Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad, and you just say the word, you don't have enough time to think about Hashem is up above, and there's only one God, and his oneness is not like others, and that he's all over. you don't have that time to think about it. But it doesn't have to take that long. It's 3 seconds. So let's try it. Echad, like that. I do the sound. I guess others do the. I still don't know how, but we'll get a recording. And we have want to ask Rabbi Ben Chaim what he does. We have to ask him. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Azak Baruch. See everyone next time. Azak Baruch.